The Awami League, led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, won a landslide victory in the national and provincial assemblies. This was a severe setback to communal and religious parties on whom the Pakistani military government had depended. Even the results of the general election were not respected. This was a breach of confidence as far as the Bengali people were concerned. The Sheikh made it clear that the people's verdict was known and that 75 million people could not be kept down. He gave a call for satyagraha and launched a no-tax campaign. This enraged the Pakistani military dictators, and they sent General Tikka Khan to Dhaka to discipline the Bengali people. Khan pretended to negotiate. Mr. Bhutto was invited to join these talks at Dhaka. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman tried for a constitutional settlement, but the talks collapsed. The Pakistan Army commenced its operation to discipline the Bengali people. The Pakistan Army in Bangladesh was totally frustrated in its attempts to suppress the Mukti Bahini. The Pakistanis tried to involve India in armed clashes and commenced shelling across the international border. Pakistani battle deployment was first observed in Poonch in August of 1971. By the 11th of October, reliable intelligence sources confirmed that Pakistani movements were designed for an offensive. The Indian armed forces were ordered to deploy themselves defensively. The aim was to deny Pakistan occupation any of our territory, to prevent the Chinese getting any access in the north, and to liberate Bangladesh and destroy Pakistani forces there.
On the 21st of November, responding to reports of skirmishes near Goripur and along the border, an Indian Army battalion, supported by a squadron of tanks, moved inside East Pakistan to silence Pakistani guns. Goripur was at an important crossroads for both nations. Its control was thus vital as it included a highway to Jessore from India. West Pakistan was alerted to this movement and immediately responded in numbers. Indian tanks were sent forward to ambush the oncoming Pakistani charge. In the next couple of hours, Indian troops pounded the Pakistanis. An intimately entangled part of this battle is the air battle over Boira. It was an aerial interception fought between the Indian Air Force and the intruding Pakistani Air Force jets that accidentally crossed into Indian airspace. This battle is momentous as a single Indian battalion destroyed an entire Pakistani brigade, supported by Air Force and artillery. It is also the first engagement between the Indian Air Force and Pakistani Air Force before the official start of the Bangladesh Liberation War. Those early Indian victories severely demoralized the Pakistani soldiers. The battle for Hilli or Bogara was another engagement that began before the official start of war, but lasted right till the surrender. India's main objective was to capture Bogara, which would cut off Pakistani forces in the north from the rest of the country. Hilli was one of the most advantageous routes to get to Bogara. However, this assault took a heavy toll on both sides.
On the 3rd of December, Pakistan launched a surprise airstrike on Indian airfields in the Western Command area.
Pakistan launched a full-scale war against us. The Pakistan Air Force suddenly struck at our airfields in Amritsar, Pathankot, Srinagar, Avantipur, Uttarlai, Jodhpur, Ambala and Agra. Their ground forces are shelling our defense positions in Sulemanki, Khemkaran, Punch and other sectors.
In Cham, in 15 Corps sector, Pakistan mounted their heaviest attack. They used 4 infantry and 1 armored brigade, supported by 8 artillery regiments. Our Jawans fought bravely and blunted the enemy offensive.
Traditions of our glorious motherland, our armed forces responded to the nation's call with valor. Commitment and courage. For the Navy, it was a coming of age, a baptism by fire. Onerous task was clearly defined in the inspirational words of the then Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral S.M. Nanda, whose signal to the Navy read, "Pakistan has committed an unprovoked aggression against us, and our defense forces have been ordered to meet this challenge with full courage and determination. My objective is to search and destroy Pakistani warships, and along with sister services, to inflict maximum damage on the enemy war machines. No sacrifice should be too much for us. Let us write a new chapter in the history of our services." The commanders of the Eastern and Western fleets, Vice Admiral N. Krishnan and Vice Admiral Surendranath Kohli, were ordered to undertake bold, dashing and spirited forays to annihilate enemy units and harbour installations. INS Vikrant, operating off the coast of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands with Indian naval ships Brahmaputra and Bias in company, was redeployed towards Chittagong. On the morning of the 4th of December, the initial strike was launched at Cox's Bazar from a range of 60 nautical miles. The very same evening, a strike was again carried out on Chittagong Harbour. A squadron of 8 Seahawks found their mark, targeting enemy installations at Cox's Bazar and Chittagong. Subsequent strikes were launched at Khulna and Mongla on the 5th and 6th of December, damaging Pakistani ports, airfields and ordnance and fuel dumps. The PTI message bears ample testimony to the success of these attacks. Chittagong Harbour ablaze as ships and aircraft of the Eastern Naval Fleet bombed and rocketed. Not a single vessel can hereafter be put to sea from Chittagong. INS Vikrant, with minimal resources from the Eastern Fleet, had successfully carried out the unprecedented task of enforcing total blockade within 48 hours and continued to control the area for the entire duration of the war. The enemy spirit and morale was shattered, but enemy submarine PNS Ghazi, deployed to sink Vikrant, found a watery grave at the bottom of the sea off Vishakhapatnam harbour after defensive anti-submarine action by Indian naval ships Rajput and Akshay. Vikrant remained forever invincible.
On the 13th of December, a third message from the Chief of Army Staff to General Rao Farman Ali was broadcast. The parachute troops dropped earlier by the IAF entered Dhaka, and by the end of the day, Dhaka was surrounded and invested. General Jamshed, GOC 36 Pakistan Division, and the Dhaka garrison surrendered to the Indian Army. On the 15th of December, Lieutenant General A.A.K. Niazi offered a ceasefire with conditions. The Chief of Army Staff summarily rejected the terms and demanded unconditional surrender, pledging full rights and privileges under the Geneva Convention. He said that the date would be the 16th of December 1971 and the time 900 hours. At 4 p.m. on the 16th of December 1971, Lieutenant General A.A.K. Niazi signed the instrument of surrender and placed himself and his troops under the command of Lieutenant General J.S. Arora, GOC in C Eastern Command, who also held command of the Bangladesh forces. At the Dhaka golf course, the Dhaka garrison formally laid down their arms before Lieutenant General Sagat Singh, GOC 4 Corps. At Magura, Major General Ansari, GOC Pakistan 9 Division, surrendered himself and his command to Major General M.S. Brar, GOC 4 Mountain Division. At Khulna, a brigade of the Pakistan Army, which had held out until the ceasefire, finally surrendered to Major General Dalbir Singh, GOC 9 Mountain Division. Thus, the Indian armed forces brought the dictators to their knees and the Bengalis to freedom.
The Indian Army's Chief of Staff, General Sam Manekshaw, who's been paying a two-day visit to his troops in Dhaka, says that at the moment some 3,000 prisoners of war a day are being taken out of the country. He hoped that by the beginning of next month the daily average would be 10,000, and that in any case by the 15th of January all of them would be in Indian prisoner of war camps. By that date too, the General said, he would have reduced Indian armed forces here by 25,000. But they still can't all go home. For one thing, they're the only agency in the area capable of seeing that the 10 million Bengali refugees now in India get safely back to Bangladesh.
The 16th of December 1971, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi paid an eloquent tribute to the valiant armed forces of India in a cheering parliament.
All the world admires a deed well done, and I think with all modesty we can say that we have done this action well. But let us not forget that the road ahead is still long and very steep, and we have many peaks to scale.
बांग्लादेश को पाकिस्तान के चंगुल से छुड़ाकर स्वतंत्र राष्ट्र बांग्लादेश के लोगों को संबोधित करते हुए श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी ने कहा,
हमने यहाँ भारत में भी 3 वादे किए थे अपनी जनता से। पहले ये कि जो शरणार्थी यहाँ आए हैं वो सब वापस जाएंगे। दूसरा ये कि हम हर तरह से मुक्ति वाहिनी की सहायता करेंगे, बांग्लादेश के लोगों की मदद करेंगे। और तीसरे कि शेख साहब को हम जरूर छुड़वाएंगे जेल से। हमने भी अपने 3 वादे पूरे किए हैं।
श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी को भारत देश का सर्वोच्च सम्मान भारत रत्न से सुशोभित किया गया।
कंधों से मिलते हैं कंधे, कदमों से कदम मिलते हैं, हम चलते हैं जब ऐसे तो दिल दुश्मन के हिलते हैं। कंधों से मिलते हैं कंधे, कदमों से कदम मिलते हैं, हम चलते हैं जब ऐसे तो दिल दुश्मन के हिलते हैं।
अब
अब तो हमें आगे बढ़ते हैं रहना, अब तो हमें साथी है बस इतना ही कहना। अब तो हमें आगे बढ़ते हैं रहना, अब तो हमें साथी है बस इतना ही कहना।
अब जो भी हो शोला बन के पत्थर है पिघलाना,
अब जो भी हो बादल बन के पर्वत पर है छाना। कंधों से मिलते हैं कंधे, कदमों से कदम मिलते हैं, हम चलते हैं जब ऐसे तो दिल दुश्मन के हिलते हैं। कंधों से मिलते हैं कंधे, कदमों से कदम मिलते हैं, हम चलते हैं जब ऐसे तो दिल दुश्मन